Hello and welcome to the U.S. Immigration News. Let's be honest, May 2025 is shaping up to be one of the most intense months for immigration policy we've seen in years. From controversial executive orders to expanded enforcement raids, from shifting visa rules to major updates for green card holders, the Trump administration is pushing a hardline agenda that's affecting millions. But amid the confusion and fear, staying informed isn't just important. It's critical. Today, we're breaking down the most urgent immigration developments you need to know about right now, including actions that may affect your legal status, your ability to travel, or your future plans in the U.S. If you are liking this video, please hit the bell button, subscribe, and like it so that you may get updates straight to your smartphone. Now let's get into the video. Before we begin, let's get one thing clear. Immigration in America has always been complicated, but the stakes today are higher than ever. From enforcement crackdowns to legal shifts, every update could have life-changing consequences for individuals and families alike. That's why today's report isn't just news. It's a checklist for what you need to do next. The Trump administration has signed a sweeping executive order that limits legal accommodations for immigrants with cognitive disabilities or mental health conditions during deportation proceedings. Effective immediately, federal agencies are instructed to reduce support services, raising fears that vulnerable individuals may be deported without understanding their rights. Advocates are urging affected families to seek legal help as soon as possible, with many organizations now offering emergency assistance. Before we begin, let's get one thing clear. Immigration in America has always been complicated, but the stakes today are higher than ever. From enforcement crackdowns to legal shifts, every update could have life-changing consequences for individuals and families alike. That's why today's report isn't just news, it's a checklist for what you need to do next. The Trump administration has signed a sweeping executive order that limits legal accommodations for immigrants with cognitive disabilities or mental health conditions during deportation proceedings. Effective immediately, federal agencies are instructed to reduce support services, raising fears that vulnerable individuals may be deported without understanding their rights. Advocates are urging affected families to seek legal help as soon as possible, with many organizations now offering emergency assistance. Meanwhile, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has launched a new wave of aggressive enforcement actions targeting workplaces across the country. In just the last 2 weeks, high-profile raids have been conducted at restaurants, construction sites, and janitorial companies in major cities including Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., New York, and Houston. These operations are focused not just on undocumented workers, but also on employers who may be failing to comply with I-9 employment verification rules. Multiple businesses have received official notices of inspection, and at least 40 individuals have been taken into ICE custody for alleged immigration violations. If you are an employer, now is the time to audit your records and ensure your company is in full compliance. If you are a worker, remember that ICE officers cannot enter private, non-public areas of a business without a judge's warrant. And during any questioning, you have the right to remain silent and to speak with an attorney. A growing crisis is also affecting international students. According to the Department of Homeland Security, the number of SEVIS terminations, that's the federal system that tracks international students, has surged dramatically in the first few months of 2025. More than 4,700 students have lost their legal status this year alone, often for relatively minor infractions like missing a class due to illness, forgetting to update their address, or being 1 credit short of full-time enrollment. Some of these students are now facing deportation proceedings. Colleges and universities are urging students on F1 and J1 visas to closely monitor their SEVIS records, keep their academic standing up to date, and notify their designated school officials of any changes. If your record has been terminated, act quickly. Reach out to your international student office and an immigration attorney without delay. There's also troubling news for foreign nationals hoping to visit the U.S. on B1 or B2 visitor visas. U.S. consulates around the world are reporting a significant uptick in visa denials, particularly in South Asia, Latin America, and parts of Africa. Consular officers are increasingly citing failure to demonstrate strong home ties as the reason for denial. This means applicants are being refused because they can't sufficiently prove that they will return to their home country after their U.S. visit. If you're applying for a visitor visa, be prepared to show documentation such as stable employment, property ownership, family commitments, and financial resources. The more proof you have, the better your chances, because the discretion ultimately lies with the officer reviewing your case. For green card holders, a new compliance rule has just kicked in that could affect your ability to travel or access federal facilities. As of May 7, 2025, all lawful permanent residents must present a real ID-compliant driver's license or state-issued identification card to board domestic flights or enter places like USCIS field offices and Social Security offices. This is part of the broader national rollout of the Real ID Act, which sets higher security standards for identification. If your state ID or driver's license doesn't have the gold star marking or doesn't meet federal requirements, you could be turned away or even fined. DMV offices across the country are reporting long lines, so don't wait. Bring your green card, proof of residence, and any required documentation to your state DMV to get your REAL as soon as possible. On the employment front, USCIS has officially announced that all 19,000 supplemental H-2B seasonal work visas for jobs starting between April 1st and May 14th have now been filled. This means that U.S. employers hoping to hire temporary non-agricultural workers this spring will need to wait for the next allocation. However, there's still opportunity for workers from specific countries. 20,000 H-2B visas remain available for nationals of El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Haiti, Colombia, Ecuador, and Costa Rica. And here's the key point. These workers do not need to have held H-2B status in the past to qualify. It's an important window of opportunity for both employers and workers, but you need to act fast. Immigration attorneys and recruiters are already racing to submit petitions before the quota fills. Perhaps the most controversial and legally explosive move this month is the administration's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship. Under a newly signed executive order, children born in the U.S. after February 19, 2025, may no longer be eligible for citizenship if their mothers are in the U.S. unlawfully or on temporary status, and the father is not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. Legal scholars predict immediate challenges in federal court, but hospitals and state agencies are already beginning to prepare for changes in how birth certificates are issued. If you are expecting a child and your immigration status is in flux, speak to an attorney now. This order could have life-altering consequences for your family and your child's future legal standing in the U.S. The State Department's May 2025 visa bulletin has also been released, and while it doesn't bring huge breakthroughs, there are some modest advances. Certain family-sponsored categories like F2A and sibling sponsorships under F4 have moved forward slightly, and there's minor movement in some employment-based categories. However, backlogs remain extensive, especially for applicants from high-demand countries like India, China, Mexico, and the Philippines. If your priority date is finally current, do not delay. Prepare your documentation and get your application filed immediately to avoid missing your window. Enforcement pressure isn't just falling on workers. Employers themselves are now under the microscope more than ever. ICE is aggressively auditing businesses and levying fines for outdated, incomplete, or improperly verified I-9 records. Even minor paperwork violations are being penalized. So whether you own a small business or manage HR at a larger company, Take the time to review your I-9 compliance. It could save you from costly penalties and damaging investigations down the road. Finally, as federal immigration policies grow stricter, community organizations are stepping in to fill the gap. All across the country, immigrant advocacy groups, non-profit legal clinics, and religious organizations are expanding their efforts, offering free Know Your Rights workshops, helping families with legal paperwork, and providing mental health support to those affected by enforcement actions. These grassroots efforts are often the last line of defense for immigrants navigating an increasingly difficult system. If you're unsure where to turn, connect with local support networks. They can be an essential lifeline. That's all we have for this bulletin. The U.S. Immigration News Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas, such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the U.S. Immigration News Channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.